The Melissa Ambrosini Show. Welcome to the Melissa Ambrosini Show. I'm your host, Melissa, best-selling author of Mastering Your Mean Girl and Open Wide, and I'm here to remind you that love is sexy, healthy is liberating, and wealthy isn't a dirty word. Each week, I'll be getting up close and personal with thought leaders from around the globe, as well as your weekly dose of motivation so that you can create epic change in your own life and become the best version of yourself possible. Are you ready, beautiful?
Yeah. We're 2 minutes 45. Yeah, we're recording, so it's.
We are recording. Guys, welcome to the show, Dave and Steve. I'm so excited to have you here. But before we dive in, I need you to both tell me what you had for breakfast this morning.
Well, it's 6:30 a.m., so we haven't really had breakfast.
We had a swim.
We did pull-ups, and then we went for a swim,
And then we had a bit of mushroom tea.
and then we had a bit of cordyceps tea. So it's only 6:30 a.m. here, so we kind of haven't really had breakfast yet. But I'm gonna have porridge shortly.
You what?
I'll have porridge shortly, maybe we're
Oatmeal. Do you guys call it oatmeal?
Yeah, you probably call it oatmeal. We'll have porridge soon.
Oh, okay. Yes, we call it oatmeal or oats. I was like, what? I have no idea what you're talking about, but I get it now. Right. I'm so excited to have you guys on the show. I want to hear your story. Tell me how you got to where you are today, how you became the Happy Pear. Start from the start and tell us the story. How did you get here?
So I guess we're identical twins. We live in a small little town called Greystones in Ireland. We're looking at the sea right here now, so it's beautiful. But we grew up in this little town, and we, being identical twins, we were always overachievers because we've always competed for our mother's love and attention. So like back when we were in school, back when we finished school, we were playing semi-pro rugby. We're nearly pro in golf. We were doing modeling. We played baseball we were overachievers in most things. And then we went and studied business. At the time, we went to all boys school, so we didn't care what the hell we studied. We just wanted to be around girls. And we ended up going studying business and being overachievers. Business, the underlying theme was make loads of money and then you're going to be happy. So of course, being overachievers, we were excelling at, we were good at university. And then we finished university and we kind of didn't really feel, we didn't feel like, it didn't feel fulfilling. It felt kind of hollow or whatever. So
I kind of felt like there was more to life to be explored. I don't know. There was a depth of life that was kind of missing. So I remember sitting in our at home one Christmas saying, I'm going away, Dave. I'm going to get a one-way ticket. I'm going away on my own. You can't come. And I'm not coming back until I'm happy and I know what I'm interested in. I think I was age 21 at the time. 21?
Yeah, 21.
I probably just turned 22, actually.
Yeah, and we were total meat-eating, beer drinking, hot-blooded males. So, and we left and kind of, but ended up going on our own separate journey for a couple of years. And obviously we ended up kind of giving up meat and kind of started eating lots of vegetables and just eating vegetables. And it
kind of just happened all by chance. It kind of we weren't in any way interested in this type of way. It was just more met someone that sounded interesting. Cool, I'll try it. Oh, that feels pretty cool. Yeah, I'll try a little bit more. And, before we knew it, I was exploring. I guess we're all brought up kind of told what success is by our parents, by our teachers, by our communities. And it was only when we went outside of our own little environment that we were able to more explore our social conditioning and what was success for us and what gave us a sense of meaning and purpose.
And can I get back to the story?
Yeah. It's easy for me to articulate it now, looking back retrospectively, but at the time I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I was just like, oh, that sounds interesting. Yeah,
but we ended up traveling separately. I think I went to be a pro golfer in South Africa, and Stephen was off being a snowboard instructor and whistler. And I guess we ended up, as we said, we ended up spending a couple of years traveling, and it was really just we ended up spending a lot of time on organic farms and meditation centers and just all sorts of curious different things. And then one day we were age 23, I think Steve calls me up and he says, Dave, do you want to start a health food revolution? And those were his words. And I thought, oh, cool, great. And then he says, do you want to start a vegetable shop? I was like, a fucking vegetable shop? Vegetable shop? That doesn't sound very cool. He says, just trust me, Dave, I got this idea. And as we said, we left as these kind of well-respected, we were overachievers in our small little town, and then we came back as these long-haired hippies that were now vegans, that didn't drink alcohol, and now we're starting a vegetable shop. So people obviously thought we had totally lost the plot. And we started a little vegetable shop age 24. This is back in 2004.
With a dream of creating a happier, healthier, kind of more connected world. That was really it. And, selling cabbages and, selling vegetables.
Yeah, and we started with the little vegetable shop, and it's gone from me and Steve. I guess we always started with the idea that it was, as Stephen said, it was with greater ideals, and like he wanted to call it Flinner's Fruit and Veg for social change, like, but it just wouldn't fit across the shop front. And I guess the whole thing, like, it was to use business as a vehicle for social change, to try to, I guess we'd thrown out this kind of capitalistic idea that money will make you happy, and we kind of wanted to try to add value and use business and to work within the business community to try to create a better world. That was really it. And I guess it's gone from the two of us to where there's now a team of 120 people, and we've got 4 cafes, we've 30 products in 1,000 stores, we've cookbooks. I think we sold 250,000 cookbooks, and we've done loads of different stuff, I think so. But it's been a really fun adventure,
Wow. Holy moly. Oh my God, there's so many things I want to ask you about. Firstly, I want to know how, when you had your time apart, being identical twins, like, how was that for you guys? Like, did you still feel each other? Like, I've read so many studies about how even when identical twins are apart, they can still feel what the other one's going through. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think being an identical twin, at least in our experience, you're so fortunate. Like, so many people are looking for someone that loves them unconditionally and understands them and just gets them. And being an identical twin, you've always had that. You've never had to look for it. Like, you just have it, which might sound strange or might sound weird to people, but I guess for us, it's been such an incredible blessing. And to split up like that, it was weird initially. You were kind of turning around for your support, and it's like, oh, they're not there. But then after kind of a week later, you realized they're still there. They're not there, like, maybe physically, but they're still there, and you'd still feel very much connected. And even to tell one kind of anecdotal story, I remember when I was in Whistler first, I met a guy from our hometown, Greystones, Connor. And I didn't have much money, and he said I could sleep on his floor, and he brought me up to his apartment, and he kind of showed me the little corner of the room and said, "There's your bed." And I was like, "Great, deadly." And he introduced me to some of the people in the room, or in the kind of apartment. One of the guys was a guy from Australia, this fella called Adrian. And he happened to be cooking a lentil soup, and I didn't know what the hell a lentil was. I didn't know. I didn't really grow up eating food like that. And he asked me if I wanted to try it, and I was like, I don't know. Okay, yeah, I'll try it. And I remember trying it, going, "Wow, it's delicious. I didn't know you could eat lentils. They're amazing." And we got talking more, and he told me he was a vegetarian. And up until that point, I'd never met a man that was a vegetarian. I didn't know men could be vegetarians. So it was like, wow. And I kind of asked him, could I eat what he ate for the week? And I kind of ate like a vegetarian for the week and thought, this is great. I want to be a vegetarian. And lo and behold, I called Dave up, who was in South Africa at the time. And we hadn't been in touch at all. And lo and behold.
Oh, I'd become a vegetarian that week too. So I just met a pretty girl, and lo and behold, it happens.
Wow. And then that has led you to have this empire that you have now created. But I want to go back because you touched on something really important, and that was success. And I feel like we all have a definition of success. Society puts this definition of success on us. What would you say to someone who was in the same boat as you, and they were chasing this ideal of success to only realize that it's someone else's ideal and not actually theirs? Like, what would you say to someone who's in that predicament right now?
Well, I think it's kind of hard because, if I'm trying to give someone else advice, it's hard. Like, they mightn't be able to listen to it, or they mightn't have the reference pointed. So I know I could say it to myself. Like, I could say it to a younger version of myself. And I'd really say that, because everyone knows these quintessential metaphors or cliches that, oh, real success is your wealth. Or, and a 70-year-old will tell you that, and you go, yeah, right, no, it isn't. I just want a pretty girl. And it's like, it's not, whatever. Our real success is not about the money. It's like, well, if you live in a tin can, it is. So I think it all kind of, I think everyone's definition is probably going to be different, and without going too cliched, I think the older we get, the more we realize it's more about having more ease and more grace and more kindness and those things in our lives. And I guess that's what the more the less we chase the things that you're meant to chase.
Yeah,
more...
even to tell a little story, I remember back about 3, maybe 4 years ago, we borrowed a large sum of money. I think it was about $1.5 million, and we planned on opening 5 stores over the next 3 years, and we were going to go home. We were going to scale the business. Yeah, let's go Capitalism. Do it. And we opened another cafe, and we kind of launched a few more products, and suddenly we found out, I wasn't swimming in the sea, I wasn't taking my kids to school, I was kind of like, I was in the car loads, I was kind of like, is this what success is? And I remember at the same time... can
I tell that bit?
Yeah, you tell it.
At the same time, I'd done my, we studied business, and I'd done my thesis on this English business philosopher. His name's Charles Handy. He sold a few million copies of books, very interesting character. And I did my thesis on him, and just by chance, a couple of months later, we got an email from this lady, Liz Handy, and she was doing a photography project on identical twins. She was based in London. She was going to fly across. She wanted to photograph us. I was like, okay, cool. She came across, and just so happened her assistant was her husband, Charles Handy. So, and he was 80 at the time. And I'm talking to him, telling him about the business. He's like, oh, this is fascinating. Oh, great. He said, why don't you come across to my farm in Cambridge? I'll cook you lunch, and we can chat about what real success is, where you want to go. It sounds like you're in a crossroad. So we went across. We went over to his lovely farm. We brought our parents, our brother with us. He's an 84-year-old. He cooked us a nice vegan lunch, of lovely vegetables or whatever. And we sit and we had dinner with him, and we had this discussion about what real success is, what meaning is. And it's like a beautiful, really wise, I felt like I was almost sitting on a cloud, sitting chatting to God, that kind of thing. And through those kind of stories, I guess we realized, those conversations, we kind of realized that
we're kind of reminded
that it's in the day to day, the little things, and not so much like whether you've got 5 million in your bank account or 50 euro or 10 cents. You've still got to sit somewhere. You've still got to go to the toilet. You still got to talk to people. You still have to eat something. And real success is within yourself, knowing the little details, the finer details of
being able to appreciate the small things.
Yeah, I think that was kind of, and maybe we're not doing the best telling the story here, but it was more through that experience of kind of society tells you need to have, your business needs to be doing X, Y, Z, 10 million, you need to scale it, you need to have loads of employees, you need to have X amount of followers, you need to have whatever, all these various things. But I guess through those things, we realized through experience that it's really more about the little day-to-day details of having a nice brekkie with your partner, going for a swim in the sea, walking your kids to school, the little kind of simple moments, listening to a bird that's singing, and trying to be at ease within these moments where there's less, I guess it's more the internal journey and less the external journey of accumulating things.
Totally agree. Absolutely. It's an inside job. So how can we be happier? Especially with what's going on in the world right now, how can we find that internal happiness? What are the key ingredients?
Okay, what would you say? Oh, can I go for it?
Okay, if
you go.
Okay, no, you go for it. You said
okay.
You've something loaded.
I was just going to say, I think that it's an amazing time of awakening. That's what I would say. There's all sorts of devastation and dis-ease and disharmony and fear and anxiety and all sorts of things. But also at the same time, the silver lining, I think, is there's almost like a mass awakening in a sense, because I think people are being forced to slow down. Everyone's being forced, certainly here in Ireland, there's a lot of, we're in our homes, we're allowed walk, and it's very slow, but everything is slowed right down. No one's in a rush anymore. No one's got anything really important to do other than say hello to people. Oh, hello, how are you? I've had more conversations in the last couple of weeks with people from a distance, of course, but with people that were typically too busy or whatnot. So I think I think it's reminding us through this process of what's going on now. It's reminding us that it's really the little things, how life isn't as secure as we think it is, and to really enjoy the kind of day-to-day simple little interactions. So I think I didn't do a good job. I'd expected to do better with that story.
You did okay. Wait. I was going to say, I think happiness is kind of, it in itself is ephemeral, subjective, unattainable. I think what happiness is a product of many things that we do. And I think there's many things, like it in itself is kind of like the infinite. It's hard to touch, to grasp. I'm now 10 out of 10 happy. It's it's naturally the emotional.
You finished.
It's an up and down kind of cycle. But I think there are many things that can underpin the basics of to make yourself in a position to experience more joy, more harmony, more balance. And I think often we do a number of talks and we kind of cover 5 basic tips. We go through them.
Yeah, I think point number one
Yes.
is just eating more. Like, I think nowadays, statistically, 9 out of 10 people in the West, whether it's Australia, Ireland, the UK, wherever it might be, but typically in the Western world, 9 out of 10 people don't get their daily recommended allowance of fiber. And fiber, you only get in fruit and veg. You know, we live in a protein-obsessed society where, chicken and protein. But really, most people just aren't eating enough fruit and veg. So point number one is trying to eat more fruit and veg. Most of us don't eat enough of it.
It's not about being vegetarian or vegan. It's about doing your best. Just trying to eat more whole foods. Because I could eat a vegan diet and eat nothing but dark chocolate and French fries. But I'm not terribly healthy for myself or for the greater environment. So I think the more you can base the majority of your diet or your calories based around whole foods, the better your body's going to function and the better it is for the environment.
Yeah. Okay.
Boom.
Point number one. Point number two. What's point number? Point number two. Okay. So people will often ask us, "Geez, where do you get your energy? You're fucking insufferable. You're so annoying. You have so much energy, whatever." So, like, I guess the question might be, it's about our main fuel source is not like in the afternoon. A lot of people will turn to coffee. They'll turn to, a chocolate bar. You'll turn to a snack bar, whatnot. Like assuming that those things will give you energy. Or maybe they'll have a glass of water or whatever. But our main fuel source, the main place that we get energy as humans is actually oxygen. It's actually oxygen. And it sounds like, oxygen, how boring. But it's really, we live in a sedentary world now where things are so comfortable. We all have to count our steps because we don't move enough. But when you look at the blue zones, the longest living people in the planet, that's the blue zones done by Dan Buettner. They typically, these people that live, the most amount of centenarians, they live long, happy, healthful lives, and they consistently move throughout the day. So their environment naturally forced them to move every 20 minutes. So I think it's less about running marathons and having abs or having big guns or whatever it might be, but it's really just about consistently moving throughout the day and really, like, even if you think about it, like we've got young kids, we've got 5 kids, not together, but between us. And like my kids aren't very good at sitting still. They're young kids. Like dinner takes about 5 minutes in my house. And young kids on average smile somewhere between, I think they say it's about 300 to 400 times a day. Like, and kids can't stop moving. Whereas as adults where, we've had years of training of sitting still. We've had school, we've had college, we've had work. We're very good at sitting still. An average adult will smile somewhere between 20 and 50 times a day. So really, point number 2, it's about just consistently moving. If you look at people that have less, they move more and they tend to have more genuine smiles, more authentic senses of joy about them. So I think movement is whatever it might be. It's going for walks. I know, like, we've been writing a book recently, so every 30 minutes we'll set an alarm and spend 3 to 5 minutes doing stretching, moving, doing whatever, but just moving because it's like we're mammals. We need to move. It makes us happy.
Very good. Good
Thanks, Steve.
So point number 2 is to try to move more if you're looking for more energy. And these are 5 tips to kind of be a little bit happier, to experience more joy or more harmony, more balance. Point number 3, when they looked at the blue zones, which this was National Geographic and Dan Buettner and a bunch of scientists, they found the 5 areas in the world with the most amount of people who lived over the age of 100. And they found that there was 9 lifestyle factors that kind of predicated why these people lived such long, happy lives. And when they boiled it down to one most important factor for a long, healthy life, most people think, it's oxygen. No, it's what you eat.
It's money.
It's positive thinking. It's positive thinking.
Yeah, mindset.
Yeah. No, but they found out the most important thing for a long, healthy, happy life, it's actually community and social connection. We're social creatures. So I think the more you can set up your lifestyle, like if you want to, the more you can set up your lifestyle so the healthy choice is the easy choice, the easier it is to live a healthy lifestyle. So,
and I think, can I say?
And we become the product of our environment. So, you become the 5 people you spend most time with, you become most like. So if you kind of want to be healthier, try to get healthier friends. If you want to get more active, get active friends. If you want to start eating more veg, start hanging around with the local vegetarians, we become our environment.
But even I was going to say, just to bring it back up on top of that, like nowadays, last year, I think it was in 2018, the UK, the way there's like ministers for health, there's minister for finance, they nominated their first minister for loneliness, because 14 to 16% of the UK population now is either all the time lonely or experiences lots of loneliness. So loneliness has become an epidemic in our society where, we are obviously the most connected ever via the internet and via phones and all these type of things. But realistically, the most basic physiological we need as humans is the need for connection, that need for belonging, that need for being a part of a tribe. And nowadays, I think via mobile phones, people are losing the basic social skills to interact with one another. We see it when we employ younger people. They don't tend to have the same social skills as older people in terms of just basically talking to people, because they spend much more time used to texting or whatever those kind of interactions. So point number 3, I think it's the most basic, simple, fundamental thing. We are all insecure, flawed humans that want to feel accepted. We want to feel loved. We want to feel part of something. And really, realistically, we're going around, each one of us are going around with signs saying, please love me, I am worthy. And we're all using different strategies to be accepted. Like some of us are going to the gym and having big muscles. Other of us are attaining money. Other of us are doing other different strategies to feel accepted and belonging. I think the most basic fundamental thing, and that's why I think the actual time we're existing in right now, where there's, as I said, I think there's a mass awakening in a sense. We're realizing how important connection, community, kindness, supporting your neighbors, all these basic, simple things. So I think point number 3 is to be aware that we have such a need for connection and community, and to really proactively cultivate these things within your life. Like I see, we bring our kids to the playground, and I watch my daughter, and they run straight up to some other kid and they go, "Hi, can I be your friend?"
It's so cute.
And that's it. Like, they've made a friend. Whereas as adults, it's just,
what do you do for a living? Hi, I drive a big car.
Yeah, like it's just...
We're a bit more detached and a bit more afraid, but ultimately all we want to feel is love and acceptance and a part of something.
Totally. And I absolutely agree with you. So right now, as we are recording this, it is March 2020, and we are retreating in our homes due to the coronavirus. So we aren't able to have that physical connection. So what can we do?
Well, I know certainly in Ireland, we're still allowed out of our homes. We just have to social distance. There's 2 meters between people. So I think you can even get on the phone and have a virtual coffee with someone. Like, it really is making these... My daughters are having virtual play dates with their friends most days. So I think it's following their leads.
Even the kids were so excited yesterday. They were writing letters, running across the road, delivering it into Dave's daughters. And then they were exchanging letters all day long. Elsie got a typewriter, so they're typing. And just simple things like that. But there's a sense of belonging, because ultimately we grew up as humans. We evolved, this is one theory anyway, on the savannas of Africa. And we didn't thrive and survive there because we were the biggest or the fastest or the most intelligent. Well, we probably did because we were the most intelligent, but it was our ability to function as a tribe. And if you became isolated, you naturally became lonely, vulnerable, afraid, because there was a tiger or a lion or something going to come and eat you. So it was natural. We have evolved for multiple years to belong and feel a sense.
You didn't answer the question now. The question, I think, to answer the question kind of straight on, I think really, as I said, virtual kind of coffees or whatnot. If whatever country you live in, if you're able to go outside at a social distance and spend time with people. I know I've called into my neighbour and I've sat at least 2 meters apart, and we've sit and had tea and we just chatted and solved it all. We watched the birds, we watched people go by, So I think there is very many ways that you can still interact, but there is that really underlying need within ourselves, within each one of us, to connect to other people. And particularly at a time like this, it probably becomes more aware. People are more open than they've ever been. Like, I really, in my whole life, I've never seen every single person I walk past looks at you. They say, hi. We're all feeling vulnerable. We're feeling insecure.
And people asking, are you doing okay?
Yeah, stay well tends to be, stay healthy, and there's these kind of beautiful greetings and gestures. So I think everyone's kind of, like, particularly at this time, people are open, they're receptive. You can make some really great connections during this period. I don't know what the criteria is in everyone's country, if you are allowed out or not, and what the social distancing rules are. So I guess you've got to adhere to the government rules, but within that, there is huge opportunities, whether it's virtual,
to connect, because seldom in I guess society before the corona, people didn't really express vulnerability. We kind of we're living our best life, and you got to be as positive as you can, and put the best side out. But I think in times like this, we're all expressing more vulnerability, and it's easier to connect through vulnerability and honesty.
Yeah, there's a lot less ego, it seems, around. There's a lot less kind of
running away suddenly.
Yeah, you see all these big deal influencer people that are just being normal like everyone else, because everyone's just normal underneath it all.
Oh, totally. And I think social distancing might not be the best word. It's more like physical distancing, because it doesn't mean that you can't be social. You can still be social. I've been having lots of FaceTime video catch-ups with my beautiful friends and things like that. And then, yeah, it's just physical. You're physically distancing yourself from people or leaving the 2 meters in between. So what you've said is so important. Us humans are hardwired for connection and intimacy. It's how we thrive. Look at the blue zones. It's one of the core ingredients for longevity and happiness. But we're up to number 4. What's the 4th one?
A 4th one, I think, is pretty a basic, simple. What one we go with here?
Okay,
Okay. It sounds boring and whatnot, but we are actually living within a sleep epidemic nowadays. Like, where 70% of people do not get their 7.5, at least 7.5 hours sleep in the Western world. So, like, statistically, we've got between 10 and 15% less sleep than our parents or our grandparents did. So, and sleep is, like, as Matthew Walker says, it's like a leaky roof in your house. Like, it will wreak havoc in every area of your house. The same way bad sleep will wreak havoc on every area of your body and your health.
For any man listening, if you get 5 to 6 hours sleep consistently, typically you'll have the testosterone level of someone 10 years older than you. And testosterone, as we all know, is very important for being a man. And it's also important for muscle mass and many other biological functions. For anyone who's interested in weight management, if you typically get 6 hours sleep on any night, the next day you're going to eat 200 to 300 calories more than you normally would. And of those calories, they're typically not the right ones.
They're not the healthy ones.
Because you feel tired, you feel a bit not functioning at your best, and you have a choice between a croissant or a bowl of oatmeal or oats. Most people will pick the croissants because it's much easier to get those calories or to absorb that energy, so it's less strain on your body.
But maybe here's like 5 things which we'll always we apply to in our...
Another 5 things.
Another 5. So this is 5A. Okay, so 5 things to try to improve your sleep. Point number 1, I think it's about regularity. It really is. It's like people look at us and go, geez, you get up at 5 a.m. You're mad. Like, you must never sleep. It's like, no, I go to bed at 9 o'clock. And I do. Like, I literally, my body at 8:30, I get exhausted. Like, it feels like a bus hits me. I start winding down and I'm in bed by 9 o'clock. Like, and I sleep and I get up at 5 o'clock. But regularity, going to bed and getting up at the same time, is so fundamental.
Yeah, we have a circadian rhythm, which is just a fancy word for we've a natural biological system that functions within the 24-hour clock. And the more we go to bed at the same time, we get up at the same time, the easier it is to have a consistently good night's sleep.
And that's easy nowadays because most of us are trapped in our homes at the moment. And like, there's no excuses, but like, it really is so fundamentally important. I see it with my cats, like you see it with animals. My cats, they're like clockwork. Like, cats can't fucking read the clock. But every morning at 5 a.m., Mia's scratching on the door. Like, she's like she can't read the clock. Like, her circadian rhythm is so in tune. Like, literally within 5 minutes, I can set, sometimes it's 4:55, sometimes it's 5:10, but she's on the money. Like, so all of this circadian rhythm, and the more consistency you can have with going to bed and getting up at the same time. And that's not saying, like, sometimes you are going to stay up later and sometimes you are going to lie in or whatnot, but really do your best around this. If you do go to bed a lot later, maybe just have a nap. Just try to have a nap.
Get up at the same time.
Basic simple things. So that's point number 1. Point number 2, I think, is try to have a sleep routine, a bedtime routine. You know, I see it with my own daughters. I've got a routine. It takes about an hour. We kind of read books. I put them in the bath. We might have a foot bath. We take it easy. We put on our pajamas. It takes about an hour. It's a full bedtime routine of trying to actually wind them down. Whereas as adults, you're sitting there, you're watching something on your phone, you're doing whatever, you brush your teeth, you go to the toilet and you get into bed. Like, and it takes 5 minutes as adults. Whereas, like, realistically, I actively try to cultivate this myself. At 8 o'clock, I turn my phone off. I don't look at screens. I take out my little notebook. I write ideas in my notebook. All the lights are dimmed. I actually read stuff. And then I go to bed at 9 o'clock. And like, I actually have a bedtime routine which tries to wind me down so that when I do get into bed, I'm fucking useless. Like, I'm only good for sleeping, you know.
Point number 3 in terms of sleep.
Point number 3, B5A,
is that your bedroom should be slightly cooler in temperature. We tend to sleep like, as mammals, it was generally temperature that would, the rise in temperature would be when we would wake up, and as it cooled, we would naturally want to go to sleep. So ideally, your bedroom is slightly cooler than the rest of your house. Point number 4 is that our exposure to artificial light So artificial light, such as in this room here, secrete blue-green spectrums of light, which will reduce or impede our body's production of melatonin, which is our kind of rest and restore or hormone associated with sleep. So the more we can turn off artificial lights and light a candle, the easier it is to have higher melatonin, which means we're more likely to sleep.
And that might sound like really heebie-jeebie, light a candle, light some incense, but really...
But even in studies, can I go?
Yeah, go for it.
But even in studies, when people were away from artificial light, like out in nature, typically they go to bed 2 to 2.5 hours earlier than they normally would because their melatonin levels were much higher.
So yeah, I think the essence in terms of sleep is get back to your inner mammal. We have become modernized creatures, products of our society,
that need to be
Western
productive
culture.
We need to be winning, living our best life. Yes.
Yeah, but like sleep is just, I think it's the best thing you can do in terms of health. And even these blue zones, that the longest living, healthiest, happiest people, they typically get between 8 and 9.5 hours sleep, and they have a nap.
Oh, what? And a nap as well?
Yeah, so they're pretty much like kids.
Cats. They're like cats.
No, cats sleep 18 hours a day, but they are like 3-year-olds.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think
sleep was okay. So sleep, that was 0.4 was sleep.
Oh, and then the last
0.5. Okay, last and final one. And I think people can get caught up with I think to be healthy, I need turmeric. No, it's kale. No, I need to be mindful. No, I need a meditation. I need a gratitude.
Oh, there he goes.
I'm allergic to cats. I need a gratitude journal. But ultimately, everyone probably listening knows someone that's lived to the age of 90. They smoke 20 cigarettes a day. They drank a bottle of...
Okay, they drank a bottle of whiskey. They love gambling. They didn't really live a healthy, happy life. But they had loads of humans around them. They laughed a lot. They had loads of joy. They had purpose. They had meaning. So I think it's not getting obsessed with any of these 5 points which we're giving, because ultimately, like statistically, this is not being pessimistic, we are going to die. That's highly likely to happen
at some point
during our lives. So it's really about not taking it too serious, like really, really taking it easy. Like I've seen myself in my own life when I go to some of the poorest countries in the world. I've seen the most joyous humans, and they've had the least amount of stuff. They've just they're cruising, they're having a gorgeous time. So I think each one of us is on our own little journey. Don't take it serious,
Have a laugh. We're all going to die one day. Let's do our best and let's try to celebrate it together.
Yeah.
Oh, I love these tips, guys. These are amazing. And I want to encourage everyone to take on board these 5 things and implement them into your life. They're so powerful and so important. And they're the basics. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I feel like so many people are searching for this magic bullet, this quick fix. How can I be happier and healthier? And it really is about stripping it back and coming back to the basics, like eating good food, sleeping, laughter, community. These are the things that are so easy to do, but they're also so easy not to do. And it's about actually doing them every single day. But I want to know, how do you know when you're truly happy?
I think you probably know, I think in a sense, you're probably going to know there's more ease, there's less anxiousness or less frustrations, there's more grace and fluidity and balance to your life.
There's more.
Those words aren't typically associated because people think you've got to be, having such a laugh and on a plane drinking champagne, and those would be the things. Or I'm in Bali doing yoga, they're the things. But when I think of the most joyous moments that I've had, they've probably been sitting looking at the sea with my daughters, or climbing rocks, or cycling a bike, or watching a horse jump over a fence.
When you're lost in a moment, and you're kind of literally... You've lost track of time. You're just caught in a moment. So,
and can I say one thing? Or you?
No, go for it. Yeah.
I was just going to say, back to what's going on at the moment, and I likened it to mass awakening, which sounds like stupid. What a moron! There's people dying in this world, but realistically, I think,
and there's no disrespecting.
And I'm not disrespecting in any sense. I'm just saying that there's another side to it, and in a sense, when we are all being socially isolated and physical distancing and all these various things, money has far less value. It really does, because you can only spend it on food. There's no stores open other than food, or to go buy, hair gel or whatever it is, some Amazon pharmacy. You can't. Money's not that valuable anymore. So people are being forced to look outside of themselves for other things. Where do I find meaning? How do I find a sense of ease? How do I find enjoyment in my own day-to-day life?
How can I relax and move beyond any anxiety that I'm feeling?
And it's really difficult for so many of us because we're used to distracting ourselves with trying to get money, to buy a house, to buy a car, to do all these things, because these are the things that are going to make us happy. But now we're almost being forced to look inside of ourselves, and that's why I've used the term mass awakening. And I apologize if I offended anyone, but realistically, I think we've got this opportunity to look inside of ourselves and to try to slow down. Like, we are being forced to slow down, to, I don't know, reflect, take it easy, like read, become our own best friends again. Because I think that's the bit that, like, actually start to love ourselves and be kind to ourselves and less outside of yourself.
Yes, absolutely. So with the way that the world is right now, there is more suffering, there's more depression, there's more anxiety, there's more suicides than ever before. Like, it's an epidemic, like you said before. So how can we move from that darkness, from those dark moments, the adversity, the grief, the dark thoughts, the depression? How can we move from that to happiness? What are your thoughts?
Like, I think with life, my wife is a clinical psychologist, and I remember when we grew up in a very male orientated home, as in there was me and Dave and two other brothers. We went to all boys schools. We played a lot of rugby. It was very kind of machismo culture, really, and it was, only over the last maybe 10, 15 years. I remember when I first met my wife, she kind of asked me to tell me about your emotions, like what you experienced. And I was like, emotions? What's an emotion? And I kind of went, I'm lucky. I only get the good ones. Like, I kind of feel happiness. I feel tired.
Hungry.
I feel hungry and horny. Horny is an emotion. I really didn't, I was very uncomfortable, and I wasn't in any way aware. And she kind of looked at me like I had three heads, or who am I with? And she kind of, I guess, over a period of time has kind of taught me the importance of a full range of emotions, and not being afraid to express them all. That every human on this planet has a full range of emotions, which we need to express. And if we don't express, they will express themselves through us in possible ways that we don't like. So I think I'm kind of learning. I know in Ireland, there's a form of greeting where we say, "How are you?" And that's "How are you?" And typically, if it's with another man, it's like good or grand or crap or tired. That's kind of the full range of emotions. But I'm kind of using it as an opportunity when someone asks me to pause for, a few seconds. It might be a little bit uncomfortable, and go, actually, I feel a little bit overwhelmed. And when I say something like that, the person that previously told me they felt great, they go, actually, I feel pretty crap too. And suddenly you've actually connected with something vulnerable and something more authentic. So it's something that I've been trying. And I think it's not necessarily for us all to idealize happiness. I think it's, there's night and day, there's the natural duality, there's the natural, what goes up must come down. I think it's important not to try to experience happiness all the time. There's going to be natural times when it's important that you sit with your sadness. It's important that we sit with our anxiety. It's important that we work through it. But we are not our anxiety. We are not our sadness. We are a multifaceted human that has many different spectrums to it. And I think it's the more you can not necessarily experience just happiness. I think happiness is a product of many things you do. And if there's a general sense of underpinning within you, a sense of gratitude, sense of joy, sense of an ability to experience the present moment for what it is, I think that's really joyful.
And maybe to move the conversation away from happiness, maybe it's more a curiosity. Like when I look at my children, like they're curious. They're curious about everything. Like, they really are. They're inquisitive. They want to know. There's that real childlike wonder about everything. And when I look at people that tend to seem to experience more levels of happiness or joy or these type of things, there is a curiosity. There is a naivety. There is a kind of
innocence.
All these basic things. There's a wonder there. Wow, look at that tree, isn't it amazing? Like stupid basic things, not like I've only got 1 million in my bank account. If it compounds for another year, I'll have 1.5. So like, I think it's that cultivating that sense of curiosity. And if you were told, if anyone is listening, if you were told you've got a day to live or a week to live, people are going to slow down. We're innately going to slow down, and we're going to start tasting each bite of our food instead of the first bite and the last bite. We might genuinely open up and have those tough conversations, which results in more connection. We might call our mother or father and go, hey, listen, I'm sorry I haven't talked to you for 3 years. And through those really tough conversations, your heart opens. And so many different things. And also, as Stephen said, I think it's a product of lots of the things which we do. And like those 5 tips which we did, if your sleep becomes better, you're much more likely to make better food choices. If you make better food choices, your mental health is probably going to be better. You're probably going to be much more likely to move more. If you move more, you're probably going to have more endorphins, more serotonin in your body. You might be outside. You might meet someone. You might connect with humans. Therefore, you feel better. Your life starts changing. You make friends. You sleep. And it tends to be a positively compounding cycle, which just like they keep feeding off one another. So I really think there is foundational elements, and those number of factors which we did, I really think are some of the foundational things. And then there's other little things you can sprinkle in, like curiosity and, trying to be kind and love yourself, those basic, simple things.
It really is an inside job, isn't it? It really is about taking responsibility and asking yourself these big questions like, what truly lights me up? What brings me joy? What makes me feel happy? And for me, it's like a daily thing. Like I wake up every morning and I'm like, what will bring me the most joy today? And usually it's having a dance in the lounge room to Taylor Swift with my husband, like something so simple and just silly dancing and singing and things like that. Like really, like that brings me the most joy out of everything that I'm doing and, being out in nature. So I think it's about stopping, pausing, asking yourself what really lights you up, what brings you joy, what is happiness to you? And then doing those things each and every single day. That's how we find happiness within ourselves. And then that's how we be happy. And I love what you said before. It's not about striving to be only happy all the time, because you are going to feel other emotions and that's okay. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just part of being a human in this earth suit. We're going to feel a full range of all of the emotions and that's okay. I think one of the best life skills you can have is learning how to move through them. Like I visualize the emotions like a wave. And they're going to be, those waves are just going to wash over you. And we have to allow that to happen. And we've got to find the tools and the strategies and the ways that we can deal with our emotions, whether that's talking to someone or, journaling, whatever works for you, and finding the things that are going to help you be more in a joyful, happy state, but not suppressing anything else. I think that's really key. But I want to know, do you feel like it's a flick? Do you feel like happiness is something that we can just flick on like a switch? Do you know what I mean? Or do you feel like it's compounding?
Yeah, no, definitely not a switch. I think and there was another point which I was just thinking there was that like society, we've all been so conditioned via movies, social media, everything that and we're so programmed that I see it in myself. I catch myself all the time like that. We need money, we need clothes, we need a new car, we need social status, we need lots of likes. That programming is so innate in all of us that I see it myself, and I'm constantly catching myself and go, no, you don't need any more. I'm one of the most fortunate humans on the planet. I don't need any more. I need more ease. I need to slow down. I need to, and those kind of things. And I think it's, to answer your question directly, I really don't think it's a switch. I think it's really it's like a 1,000-mile journey, and you've just got to keep making baby little steps. And there is obviously no destination, but I think it can be easier and more pleasant. I think those emotions, sometimes we're focused on happy and we're focused on excitements, but there's other adjectives, like I think pleasant is an underrated emotion. I think when you look at some of the more joyous people, and when I think of myself, some of my most joyous days they're pleasant days. They're not like the days where they're the most exciting. They're those really pleasant days where I'm at ease in myself, and I didn't do a hell of a lot. We went for a walk. I had a swim. I did something. We went for a cycle with the kids, something really simple. And those can be some of the most fulfilling days. So I think back to exactly what you said, that it's an inside job, and I think being aware that we all have these conditioning that for more things, we need to look beautiful. We need to have abs. We need to have X, Y, Z. We need to have the new iPhone. I need to have a new laptop. I need to own my own house. There's all these kind of programming, and it's really, I just see it in myself, the constant being aware that no, I have enough. No, I think real success, real happiness, real joy, real ease, real pleasantness is that awareness that the more I become aware that I don't need as much, that I can, a simple life can be some of the most fulfilling stuff that there is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What are you guys working on within yourself at the moment that maybe want to improve? Because I feel like I have a growth mindset and I'm always growing and learning and evolving. What's something that you guys are working on right now?
How to have more ease.
Mm.
Constantly, I'd say the number one thing which I'm working on is how to actually have more ease. When I honestly ask myself that question, what do I need to change in my life and what do I think the world needs to change? It's to stop rushing, to have more ease, to have more appreciation of the simple little things. So I'd say when I boil it all down to, that's the only thing I'm working on. Everything else is just distraction, like all work stuff, all these other things. They're great, they're wonderful. But it's really underneath it all, it's how to have more ease, how to have more joy, how to be more present, all those basics. And I get distracted 90% of the time, but there might be, maybe there's 2%, I don't know what percentage of the time, but there is pockets where I really do feel that sense of ease and that sense of connection. So, Steve,
Beautiful.
I'm working on being more present. I remember back many years ago when we were kind of traveling and kind of, I guess, going through an internal change. I remember we got really into meditation and we used to kind of meditate 2 hours every day and did it for many years. And I remember there was a huge clarity and it was very present. And I guess through the last number of years, just huge amount of distractions and the business and the excitement of all this, I've kind of somewhat lost touch with it in some degrees. So working on meditating more and getting back and connecting with that sense of peace and calm and quiet.
Yeah, meditation for me is like, it's my elixir. I love it so much. Some people go to coffee, I go to meditate. It's just, it's so beautiful. I'd love to hear now, if you guys had a magic wand and you could put one book in the school curriculum of every high school around the world, besides your books, what is one book that you would choose?
I always loved Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. I always thought that was one of the most beautiful books. Now, I haven't read it for 10 years or 15 years, but I just remember it was such a well-written, beautiful book about what's important and what's not important. And it's really, I think it's the story of Buddha, his whole little story, but it's very humanized. It's not this idealized version of this
a religious thing,
superhuman. It was just a very pleasant, well-written, beautifully written book that was, it was easy to read in a couple of days. I thought that was a beautiful book.
I'm trying to think I think school kids, I'm trying to think would school kids necessarily read that book? Like, is that too...
I don't know. They might, maybe teenagers would.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Teenagers for sure.
I was trying to think of that, the beautiful
Harry Potter.
I kids read it.
I read it with my kids, and that was one of the most fun. That's one of the most fun experiences I had with my daughters. We spent 2.5 years, I'd say, reading every one of the books. Both them curled up, and we read all 7 books. And we've watched all the movies, and we've been to London's Platform 9 3/4, and those were just pure joy, pure getting lost in the moment of absolute pleasantness. So maybe those type of things rather than, the other things, that they were some of the most joyous ones.
Yeah, I don't know if there's necessarily a book that's gonna light the fire for every child. I think it's important to acknowledge that everyone's different and everyone will see the world differently. I think that's really important, and I think there's no one way to this.
Now, okay, good. Now answer the question. Now try to answer the question.
Okay, I'll go with what book do I go back to?
More for high school, not so much children, more for high school students.
Try to be a cookbook.
Awareness by Anthony DeMello. I think that's a very good book.
Oh, that one I've been reading for 25 years. It's one of the books I always bring on holidays.
Yeah, Awareness by Anthony DeMello. I think that's
a really nice one. Yeah, my copy's so worn.
Oh, I love that. I love it. It's so good. When you get a good book, hold on to it, reread it. It's so great. And we'll link to all of those in the show.
I've only got about 10 books, so that's one of them.
Oh, I love that. I love it. Let's talk about... Oh, actually, I have 3 rapid fire questions for you that I'd love to hear your answers for. Are you guys ready? And we can go like one then the other, okay?
Yeah, great. Yeah.
Okay, so what's one of the most important things that we can do today for our health? Just one thing.
Swim in the sea or have a cold shower.
Love it.
Hang out with some friends. Physically. Yeah. Well, maybe you can't do physically, but someone that you feel a sense of connected or a sense of belonging to.
And I would say call someone that you've wanted to call for ages, but have been afraid. There you go.
Oh!
Boom. Like your mother or like those people that you just know you're connected to, but you're scared. Do it. You'll feel so much better.
And express your fear.
No, just
like it's in go, listen, I'm a bit afraid to call you, but
no, I don't know.
Whatever. Anyway.
I love those. Thanks, guys. Okay, what is one of the most important things that we can do for more wealth, so more abundance in all areas of our life?
Okay, stop looking for more. Try to look at how much you have.
Oh, I love that.
But genuinely, and that sounds so cliche.
Can I change my book one? Okay, Julia Donaldson, she's an author who writes kids' book, and I think it's called A Squash and a Squeeze. Did you ever read that one?
No.
Oh, it's amazing. It's like this lady who's given out that her house is so small, and she goes to the wise man and goes, "Wise man, my house is so small. Please help me." And the wise man says, "Take your cow and bring your cow into your house." So she brings her cow into the house. Then the next man goes, "My house feels even smaller. Please, wise man, what will I do?" The next day he says, "Bring your pig into the house." She brings her pig into the house. "My room feels eaten." And the pig starts eating her food and she starts giving out. And then, wise man, the next day, "What will I do?" "Bring in the goats." She brings into the goats. And then the next day, "What will I do?" "Bring in the horse." Brings in the horse. And then at the end of the week goes, "Wise man, what do I do?" "Let the animals out." She lets the animals out and goes, "Oh my God, I live in the biggest house ever." And I think that was such a good reminder that ultimately it's not necessarily what we're trying to accumulate. It's what we have. We have this incredible experience called life. And I think the more we can see it that way, as opposed it's a race to collect possessions.
Yes. And it's all about perspective, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, because really, I think there's so much wealth, and it's not necessarily related to do with what you have.
Exactly.
It's probably to do with what you having less, you know,
and what you're experiencing.
The wealthiest people that I've met, they didn't seem like the happiest people.
Yeah, it's simplifying is so simplifying, and minimalism. That's where it's at. I feel like we're moving more to that, which is great. Okay, one last question in our rapid fire. What is one thing that we can do for more love? The most important thing that we can do for more love today?
Be kinder to yourself.
Yeah, ultimately love it's your relationship with yourself. So I think it's to remember to look to yourself and to stop looking outside that I need this other person necessarily to complete me. I think we're born pretty remarkable humans. And Dave wants to say
and those sound a bit cliched, but I think it's down to your self-talk. Like if you beat yourself up, like I don't know what kind of practice you can do. I know a friend, he recommends, he has a photo of himself when he was young, and he literally takes it and he looks at it every day for 15 minutes, and he looks at himself when he was young and happy, and he goes, am I talking to, like, how can I be kind to this innocent, beautiful child, you know? And he really he spent years doing this, and through that process he's become a lot kinder with his own self-talk and like more self-love. And I think that's it, that in each one of us there is an innocent 3-year-old that's pure and beautiful. And would you talk to an innocent 3-year-old the way that you talk to yourself right now? Like, it's really, we're all these sensitive, beautiful creatures, and how we can become more caring and loving to ourselves, you know?
Yeah, I have a photo next to my bed of myself when I was about 5. And every morning I roll over and I say, I love you so much. And I kiss the photo. And I do, like, and it reminds me that she is in there. And I've got to be really nice to her because she is in there. And it's a really powerful thing to do. Sometimes I meditate with that photo just sitting in front of me. If I feel like I'm beating myself up a lot, if I feel like I have been self-sabotaging, those sorts of things. So I highly recommend doing that. Carry an image around with you, put one beside your bed, put it in your wallet, have it as a screensaver on your phone to remind yourself that you are such a miracle, and that beautiful little miracle is still inside you. And we wouldn't speak to ourselves. We wouldn't speak to our best friend the way that we sometimes speak to ourselves. So really, this comes back to full circle what we were saying at the start, which is like, it's the inner work. It's an inner job. Like pure happiness comes from within. So I want to know, like, what advice do you have for someone who might be experiencing real turmoil right now, whether that's depression or just grief or sadness or loneliness, like what advice do you have for them?
Oh, that's a hard one. I guess first and foremost, massive empathy, because it sounds really hard. And I guess probably to go forward with the idea that it's going to pass. Like you've got to have the perception that it's going to pass at some point, and that brighter days will come.
And I think the more we can turn to support, it's at times like that. It's kind of like in a forest, if there are trees around you, if a tree falls down, it's kind of propped up still, even though it's maybe not necessarily falling over. And I think the more we can have others around us at times like this to help support us and acknowledge what we're experiencing and not tell us, change and you shouldn't be experiencing that. I think the more we can have others that can see us for who we are and acknowledge too that, it will pass.
Some of the greatest humans that I know are the ones that have been really on the edge. They've been contemplating getting rid of their life or ending their life, and they've somehow managed to ride through that, and it's been their greatest gift in a sense, because they now have this vulnerability and this rawness, and they can relate to people that have been there. So some of the most beautiful humans that I've met in my life have been ones that have experienced the darkness, the depths of darkness that lots of people haven't, and as a result they've just got this level of empathy and connection that many people don't have. So I think to really believe that and really know that it someday it will become a gift. It can become your greatest strength. It really is. So, and I'm not saying that to try to offend anyone who is in these dark places, but I don't know.
Hopefully it might help.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite quotes is, "This too shall pass."
Yeah.
That's a nice one, yeah.
And I remind myself of that all the time whenever I'm feeling down or depressed or sad.
Or feeling up as well. Remind yourself, this too will pass. It's both.
Totally.
When you're feeling beautiful, you look in the mirror and go, geez, I'm looking good today.
This too shall pass. You're like, no.
Or I look down and I go, wow, cool, I'm in great shape. And you go, nah, this is going to pass, so enjoy it.
Totally. Soak it up. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Guys, this has been amazing. I love your energy. I love everything you've shared. It's been beautiful. I'm a big believer in service, and what you guys do is of massive service to the world. You spread so much love, so much joy, so much happiness, so much energy. So I want to know how I personally and the listeners can give back and serve you today. What can we do to serve you?
Jeez, I don't know. Have a nice time. Be kind.
I can do that.
Be easier to yourself. Be more loving to yourself. I would think that would be it. I think because that's the ultimate service we can all ultimately, the more we can do for ourselves, the more we're doing for one another. So
exactly.
Really that's it. But if anyone, we're on social media and we're on all sorts of things. So the Happy Pear, if you've got the internet, you'll find us.
Yes. And we'll link to everything in the show notes so people can come and find you. They can get your books. They can come and discover you on Instagram. We'll link to all of that in the show notes so everyone can come find you. And I just wanted to thank you, Dave and Steve, so much for being here, for sharing so much wisdom and your love and your energy. I absolutely love your energy. It's so infectious. Like I can't help but smile from ear to ear being here with you guys because you can just really feel your energy. So thank you so much for being here and for spreading so much love and happiness into the world.
Cheers, Melissa. You're a darling. Lovely.
Thanks for being here, guys.
Cheers, Melissa.
Cheers, Melissa. Bye.
Bye.